Everyone good? Alright, so we're going to work over some examples together. So, first example problem. A girl travels 20 miles on her bike. The trip takes 2 hours. Express her speed in miles per hour. The first step in solving these problems is to identify your variables. So here we have 2 hours and 20 miles. 20 miles will be our distance. 2 hours will be our time. Then we identify our equation for solving for speed. So speed is equal to distance divided by time. Plug the variables in and then calculate. So 20 miles divided by 2 hours is 10 miles an hour. So a car starts from a stoplight and is traveling with a velocity of 10 meters per second east in 20 seconds. What is the acceleration of the car? So if a car starts at a stoplight, that means their initial velocity is 0. And then begins traveling at 10 meters per second. That means their final velocity is 10 meters per second. And he did this in 20 seconds, so our time is 20 seconds. Our equation for acceleration is Vf minus Vi divided by T. Plug the numbers in, and then calculate they will have acceleration of 0.5 meters per second squared. So going over some basic terminology. Constant speed means the speed does not change. Velocity is a speed in a given direction, so speed combined with direction. A frame of reference is a background used to judge motion or speed. We usually like to see the surface of the Earth. Instantaneous speed is the speed at a given moment in time. Speed is the amount of distance traveled in a certain amount of time. Average speed is the total distance divided by the total time. We're not doing time distance graph now, but time distance graph is the graph that shows the speed of an object. Acceleration is the change in velocity over time, how much your velocity is changing. Motion is an object changing position or distance in time. And rate of change is the amount of time it takes to change position or motion. So let's do the first few problems together. So what is the speed of a rocket that travels 9,000 meters in 12 seconds? When given this a problem like this, the first thing you want to do is figure out what you're given. So it's asking for a speed. So we're trying to figure out what speed is. And travels 9,000 meters. 9,000 meters is going to be your distance. So distance is equal to 9,000 meters. And 12.12 seconds. That would be your time. So time is equal to 12.12 seconds. So solving for speed or velocity, we can use our triangle. Speed is equal to distance divided by time. So we write down our equation. It's distance divided by time. Now we can plug in our values. 9,000 meters for the D for distance, and 12.12 seconds for the time. Plugging this in, you'll get 742.57 meters per second. When writing your answers, put about 4 or 5 digits, 4 or 5 numbers, like I did here. Do not just round it to 743. So, everyone follow? Number 1 easy. So, what is the speed of a jet plane that travels 525 meters in 4 seconds? So, 528 meters, the distance. 4 seconds is time. And it's asked, what is the speed? So, speed is what? We know the equation is for speed is equal to distance over time. Plug the numbers in exactly. D is replaced with 528 meters. T is replaced with 4 seconds. Plugging that into the calculator, you'll get 132 meters per second. Alright, I'd like y'all all to do number 3 by yourself. And wait until everyone's done. Whenever you finish, put your pencil and calculator down so I know you're done. Again, using triangle. Everyone get an answer? So what'd y'all get? What'd you get, Christian? That's correct. What unit? Kilometers? Kilometers? It asks you how long? Hours. How long is in referring to time. So when it asks how long will your trip take in hours, that means you're looking for a time. If you travel 350 kilometers, so that's your distance, with an average speed of 80 kilometers per hour. So your speed is 80 kilometers per hour. So using our triangle to help us figure out the equation, we are looking for time. So time is equal to d divided by velocity. So plug in our numbers. 350 kilometers per 80 kilometers per hour. And you should, when you put that in a calculator, 4.375 hours. Note, I take off of your missing units. Your units should be always on your answer. Alright, try working on number 4. Hello? Yeah? I gave it to him already. He should have went home with it. Oh, talk to Gary. I set it up for him. Gary should have it. Yeah. Alright, bye. Everyone get an answer? Anyone want to say what their answer is? Raven? Did everyone get 18 meters? Anyone get something different? I'll give you a hint. 18 meters is wrong. Alright. So how far in meters? So that's looking for a distance. Well, you travel in 3 minutes. So our time is 3 minutes. Running at a rate of 6 meters per second. So we're moving 6 meters every second. But our time is in minutes. How many seconds are in 3 minutes? So that's equal to 180 seconds. Do you watch out for that? Because if you're moving 6 meters every second, you want to put your time in seconds. These units must match. So we make our triangle. We are looking for a distance. So distance is going to be equal to speed times time. So that would be 6 meters per second times a time of 180 seconds. Note, the seconds will cancel each other out, giving us 1,080 meters, leaving us with just meters. This is why units are important. If you don't look and record your units, or you don't pay attention to units, you'll get the answer wrong. So let's work on number 5. A trip to Cape Canaveral, Florida takes 10 hours. The distance is 816 kilometers. Calculate the average speed. By the way, your homework and tests are going to be just like this. So it's very important that you're working along, making sure you understand how to do it. Everyone get an answer? So a trip to Florida takes 10 hours. That's your time. The distance is 816 kilometers. The distance. And we're trying to find average speed. So time, 10 hours. Distance is equal to 816 kilometers. And we're looking for speed. So speed is equal to distance over time. So that'll be 816 kilometers per 10 hours. And that would be 81.6 kilometers per hour. Everyone get that? Alright, let's move on to the next problem. How many seconds will it take for a satellite to travel 450 kilometers at a rate of 120 meters per second? I'll give you a hint. Look at units. Do they match? So one is in kilometers and one is in meters per second. We need to convert this into meters. How many meters are in 450 kilometers? What does kilo mean? 1,000. So 450 kilometers is the same thing as 450,000 meters. Anyone get the answer? So how many seconds? What we're looking for time. Will it take for a satellite to travel a distance of 450 kilometers? So that's our distance. 450 kilometers. The same thing as 450,000 meters. At a rate of 120 meters per second. That's our velocity. So meters per second is a speed or velocity. So make our triangle. So we're looking for time. Time would be d divided by velocity or speed. So our distance was 450,000 meters divided by a speed of 120 meters per second. The meters will cancel out, giving us just seconds. Plugging that into a calculator, that's 3,750 seconds. What is the speed of a walking person in meters per second if the person traveled 1,000 meters in 20 minutes? So you'll need to convert minutes into seconds. So it's asking what is the speed. So we're looking for speed in meters per second if the person traveled 1,000 meters. So 1,000 meters is our distance in 20 minutes. That's our time. So our time is 20 minutes. We need to convert this though. Multiply by 60 to get 1,200 seconds. So we're solving for speed. So speed is equal to distance divided by time, where distance is 1,000 meters divided by 1,200 seconds, and that is 0.8333 meters per second. So a ball rolls down a ramp for 15 seconds. 15 seconds is time. If the initial velocity of the ball was 0.8 meters per second, that is your initial velocity. And the final velocity was 7 meters per second. That's your final velocity. What is the acceleration of the ball? So we have a time of 15 seconds, an initial speed or velocity of 0.8 meters per second. Oh, sorry. A final velocity of 7 meters per second. And we're looking for acceleration. So we're solving for acceleration. Acceleration is equal to final velocity minus initial velocity over time. Now that we know our equation, we just plug these numbers in. 7 meters per second minus 0.8 meters per second divided by 15 seconds. I would always put the numerator and the denominator in parentheses if there's more than one term for plugging it into the calculator. You should get that the acceleration is equal to 0.4133 meters per second squared. You can either do meters per second squared or meters per second per second. So to figure out the units for acceleration, it's meters per second per second. You look at the velocity and it's in meters per second, and then you divide it by the time, seconds, to get your units. Make sure you include units. I take the points off if your units are incorrect. So try working number 9. Hello? Yes. No, I'm not. Alright. Alright. Thank you. Alright. So a meteoroid changes its velocity from, this will be our initial velocity to 1.8 kilometers per second. So that'll be our final velocity in 0.03 seconds. That'll be our time. Asking for acceleration. So our initial velocity is 1 kilometer per second. Our final velocity is 1.8 kilometer per second. Our time is 0.03 seconds. And we're looking for acceleration. So for acceleration, we use this. Acceleration is equal to Vf minus Vi divided by T. So plugging in the numbers, 1.8 meters per second minus 1 kilometer, that should be kilometer or kilometer per second, divided by 0.03 seconds. Plugging that into the calculator, we get 26 kilometers per second. You get 26.6 carried kilometers. So to figure out units, you can either do kilometers per second. I don't not prefer this way. It's valid, so it's kilometers per second. The better way I would write it is 26.667 kilometers per second squared. Everyone good? So a car is going 50 miles per hour, accelerates to pass the truck. 5 seconds later, the car is going 80 miles per hour. Calculate the acceleration of the car. Everyone get an answer? What'd y'all get? Has anyone answered it? Did you answer it, Raven? What'd you get? 6 what? The 6 is right, but the unit's wrong. So a car is going 50 miles per hour. That's your initial velocity. As it accelerates to pass a truck. 5 seconds later, that's your time. The car is going 80 miles per hour. Your final velocity. Calculate the acceleration. So initial velocity is 50 miles per hour. Our time is 5 seconds. And our final velocity is 80 miles per hour. You're looking for acceleration. So acceleration is equal to Vf minus Vi. So acceleration is equal to Vf minus Vi divided by T. That would equal 80 miles per hour minus 50 miles per hour divided by 5 seconds. And that would equal 80 minus 50 is 30 miles per hour per 5 seconds. 30 divided by 5 is 6. Miles per hour divided by seconds is miles per hour per second. So again, for acceleration, the units will be the same units as velocity divided by your time. So miles per hour per second. Hello? I don't know, I've never saw him. Maybe he knocked at the door and I just didn't hear him. Alright. Alright, you need to be able to do these problems. This is what we're going to be doing for the whole 6 weeks. That's going to be your test and homework. So for homework, finish the next 3 problems. And show me tomorrow. You can return your calculator.